video.
Okay, no problem. What happens? No one shows up?
Well. Okay, shoot. You're on.
Are we starting?
Yeah.
Oh, just filming the microphone start yet?
It's the date, the 6th, 5th?
6th.
6th.
We'll take it last turn.
6 miles.
Yeah. Okay, hello, my name is Will Golden. I'm going to be the topic master today. Not topic master, rather. I'm going to be the
Toastmaster.
master of ceremonies, toastmaster, whatever they call it. We call it. That just means I'll be talking sporadically and boring you at intervals that are predetermined. But before we get underway with the normal events of the meeting, we're going to have a few words from our esteemed president, Michael Middleman.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very glad everyone could make it. Just a couple of quick announcements. GBA information meeting is going to be held today at 5 o'clock in room 329. I would encourage everyone to go and find out what exactly the Graduate Business Association is and what exactly they do. They're our parent organization, and to tell you the truth, I'm not even sure what they do. So I'm going to go and just learn about them.
Are you running for president, Mike?
No, I'm not running for president because it would take away from my responsibilities here, Mark. Elections for the GBA and for the GBC Council are going to be held, I believe it's the week of February 22nd. So if anyone is interested in running for an office, you have to be a first year. We're going to find that as, I'm not even sure. But if you're interested in running, and also if you're interested in voting, and that's open to everyone, then that's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks. Again, I'm not sure about the whole process, so I invite you to come at 5 o'clock, room 329, and find out exactly what it's about. Number 2, next week we're going to be asking questions based on everyone's individual resumes. Interviews are coming up, so I think it'd be a great idea to get everyone into the mode. If you could, drop a copy of your resume off into my box, and that way we can make up specific tailor-made questions just for you. If anyone's uncomfortable with that, then we can give you a generic question. But you're going to be asked very difficult questions during interviews, and to get up here and to speak about the questions before you get them can really help you out a lot. Again, in my box, Middleman, M-I-T-T-L-E-M-A-N. And hopefully as early as possible, either this week or early next week, will help us out so we can prepare some good questions for you. Okay. And that should do it.
Can I make a dues announcement?
Dues announcement.
Yeah. Scott, can you make a news now?
Anyone who's not paid the dues, I'd rather not collect checks right now, so
Sure.
you could put a check for $12 in my box, and my name is Scott. I don't write on the board much. Addis.
Maybe you should tell them that the check should be made out to Scott Adams.
Check should be made out to Scott Addis. Check should be made out to Columbia University, and that'll cover you for the whole semester, and there will be more pizza.
Thank you, Scott. Lynn Russell will now speak to us on a topic that she has decided about, important for us.
How many of you have had introductory public speaking class? There might be a little review in here, so bear with me. I figured we'd start with some of the basics from Public Speaking 1. And the first thing I'd like to talk about is eye contact. A couple questions. Why should you care about it? And second of all, how much is the right amount? It seems to be a question that's tough to answer when you're up here. Let's start with why care. Well, because people have been caring about eye contact for a long time. In our culture, your mother probably said, well, look me in the eye when you say that, if she thought you were lying. In other cultures, it's a sign of disrespect to look at somebody in the eye. But in our culture here in the United States, you're supposed to look at people when you talk to them. Second thing, duration. How long is the right amount of time? Research tells us that 2 to 3 seconds is appropriate for size them up. So you get on the subway, get in an elevator, 2 to 3 seconds is appropriate. You know who these people are. Do you know them? Don't you? 10 seconds is considered prolonged eye contact, and that is reserved for emotional expression, first of all. I'm very angry at you, and I'm going to stare you down until you know it, so 10 seconds will really get that message across. Or, if you're romantically involved with someone, it's a way to say, hey, I care, I'm interested. As a matter of fact, it's been taken to such an extreme that there's a science called pupillometrics. Does anybody know what that is? No. It is the study of the dilation of the pupil. Now, you all know that when light hits your eye, your pupil changes. But if the light remains constant, your pupil will dilate according to how interested you are in the person you're speaking to, or how much something appeals to you. So for instance, if you're romantically attracted to someone at happy hour, and the light hasn't shifted, and you look at that person and the eye gets a little larger, the pupil goes out, love connection. You guys can test it out at happy hour tonight. Actually, occupational psychologists tested this to see how interested people were in certain jobs. They hooked them up to machines, and they looked at a machine and they were shown a slide of people doing certain jobs, and they measured eye reaction to it. So here are all these people who care about eye contact. Yeah.
So how does the level of alcohol fit in that? You're saying that happy hour.
Do it early on. I don't know what that is. Actually, that would be a constant. I don't know how to do these things. You have a question, too?
Well, also the size of the pupil depends on how wide your eyes are open. So if you open your lids up, then they're going to constrict. So
Right. But
just put that into your calculation when you're making the look.
okay, you're going to be a good research scientist. And also, try it out first with light-eyed people, because it's easier to see the pupil going back and forth with the blue and green eyes. It's a little tougher to do on brown eyes. Anyway, for all that's worth, people care. Scientists measure it. We spend all this time, we know what's right, 2 to 3 seconds in the elevator. Someone called that civil inattention. In classroom situations, you know how to do civil attention. You know exactly how long to look at the professor without risking being called on. You got it down. Yes, I'm paying attention. Give me the participation grade. No, don't call on me. I don't know the answer. So you've got this all figured out, but yet you come up here and you don't know exactly how the equation works. That's why I have an exercise. I have eyes, and I'm going to pass out eyes. Distribute them throughout the room during your presentations. And when someone feels as if he or she has had enough eye contact, flash the eye so people know what feels right. Because it changes depending on the person, the situation. And in a room this size, you won't be able to make eye contact with everyone, but you might as well make some quality eye contact. Don't forget about people in the wings. They're important, including him. People in the back are important. And if you have a group this size and you're speaking for 15 minutes, you could probably get quality eye contact time with every person. You won't be able to do that today because you don't have enough time. But for a small group, like a boardroom, you can make quality eye contact time with every person at that table with 3 or 4 minutes. So I'm going to let you try. Please pass the eyes around, and if you have any other questions about eye contact, I'm happy to answer. Yeah?
You said 10 seconds reserved for someone special. Is that in the course of conversation? I mean, just when you're talking to somebody, 10 seconds is without breaking?
10 seconds is a
Because
prolonged
I was
period.
always taught that, like right now, just to maintain it as long as possible until, and without trying to be.
That can be a little intimidating. You could be staring people down in your interview. Yes, you want to look at people when they're
See,
talking
it's hard
to
for me
you.
now even to break away there.
Well, you're listening. It's different for the speaker and the listener. Don't get confused.
Oh, okay.
There's a difference between listening eye contact and speaking eye contact.
Okay.
I have a feeling when you're talking to your interviews, you don't stare them down
No,
like
that's
this.
probably true.
However, with a one-on-one situation, that's different when there are a lot of people, so that changes all the norms. Remember I said it was situational? One-on-one, there's going to be a lot more eye contact. That's when you do the pupil metrics to see if you got the job, okay? Anything else?
Yeah. When eye contact starts feeling uncomfortable, where should you look? I mean, if you're not.
In an interview situation?
Yes.
Well, you can just quickly glance to someone's ear or off to the side slightly, and that's enough to break it. For instance, I just glanced away from you a little bit, and now I can kind of come right back. It's fine.
Wouldn't that
Do
make
it.
him self-conscious though? If you start staring at his ear, he starts pulling at his ear. It's like, what's...
You will do this naturally. You've already had enough conversations with people that you won't have a problem taking your eye contact away. I'm not teaching you anything you don't know how to do already. My concern is what happens when you come up here, because all the things that seem so simple before, all the things you've known how to do all along, seem to go out the window when you stand up here. you know what's appropriate. If you were in an elevator, you know how long you could look at somebody. If you were meeting a friend in the corner, you know how to converse with a friend. However, you come up here, and that standard time just seems to go out the window. You don't know, hence that's what the eyes are for. Okay? Any other questions? Work on your eye contact today.
Thank you. We need a few volunteers. Most importantly, we need someone to keep time. I don't know how long we'll do. A minute?
We can do a minute and a half, because we have about 30 of us, about 40, at least 45
Okay,
minutes.
so who wants to keep time? Who has a watch? Can keep time. No one wants to keep time. Okay. You guys want, okay, how about you want to keep time? What you got? Do we have the? We don't have that card. Okay, make it. Take a sheet. We'll take 2 sheets here. Write one that has 45 seconds and one that has 15. When that's left, that's what you do. You just hold them up to give the person an indication of which time's left. We're using a minute and a half. We need someone to count the ahs and ums. Okay, Jerry.
I need a...
Okay. Also, does everybody have a critique sheet?
Nope.
Does anybody have a critique sheet?
Yes.
Okay, just pass them around if you have one. Don't take one. Everybody has one up here? No? Yes? Okay. Critique the person on your left. Keep it simple. Okay, our topic master today is going to be Russell, right here. And we need a... Russell. You should really have... we should have our name tags in front of us, just so people who don't know each other.
That's a good idea. Pass some name tags, I'll bring them next time.
Okay, well, guess we'll have them next time. At any rate, we need a volunteer to go first.
Yeah, we need a volunteer for pictures.
Pictures?
Yes.
Smith has a camera, he's going to take our picture. I guess we should all
And
do
then
that.
you can get into the ahs.
You're making fun of our group.
Oh, jeez.
How do you want to do this? Why don't
Wait, who do you
go-
want to take a
be the
picture
first
of?
volunteer. Tell us how we should assemble.
Oh, you're filming it?
Yes.
Yeah, we're filming.
Actually, I'm filming. You can take
I
a
guess
picture of me
everybody-
filming you.
Everybody,
Never mind.
I get everybody back there, since it's 2 levels, or over here for 2 levels. I'm just trying to figure out how many people there are.
suggest this.
So see if everybody fits over here.
Much nicer idea.
Your review might be too caustic.
So what do I do? I
Good idea.
watch them and then you look at these categories.
Actually, I'll critique them. You can just keep track of time.
Okay, also,
Yep. Right.
this is a rather strange question.
Okay.
The paper towel dispensers in yours hall have an emergency feed lever. Discuss the conditions that would have to prevail for you to declare a paper towel emergency. Emergency feed lever device.
My name is Jason Miller, and I have a truly interesting topic for you all this afternoon. I need to discuss under what circumstances would I allow somebody to use the emergency feed on the paper towel dispensers, in the men's room, and I have to imagine in the ladies' room. However, since I've not been permitted to go in there, I will only address my comments in the men's room. In my mind, the paramount consideration in allowing somebody to use the emergency paper towel dispensers would have to be a major spill, especially at pub night, or as you all refer to it, as happy hour, in which case one of the kegs developed a terrible crack and everybody would run into the men's room and grab the paper towel dispensers and soak up all the beer, and because we're all so desperate for beer, especially free beer, probably squeeze the paper towels and put it back in our cups and continue to drink it. Another circumstance would be, of course, if we had a fire. I noticed that the fire bells say, do not do this. It is a false alarm, is a criminal offense, although I noticed by the telephone downstairs, somebody had written, yeah, but it's a great way to get out of class. So if there was a fire and the hose was there, we'd probably run into the bathrooms, grab the paper towels, and either try and smother the fire, or use it to soak up the water that would be all over the floor, and then we'd need a new building, which would solve a lot of our space problems. I think that you can see that there's a couple clear examples where we would need a paper towel emergency feed. Thank you for your time, Jeff.
Volunteer?
No, I'm going to put my contact
You
in
can't
the
stand
back.
up, sorry. That's, oh, is this so people frown?
Congratulations. Thank you.
It's on, don't worry, it's there.
You're all right, Scott.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're a little too short.
My file?
Wait, wait,
Next week's video.
Get the zoom lens.
Next week, resumes and we're all naked.
wait, Scott, stand up. I'm just kidding.
Simple question. How many Columbia MBA students does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Excellent question. That is an excellent question. I would have to answer, my name is Scott Addis, by the way. I would have to answer that question as many more than we have here, because there are an innumerable number of lights that are out in this building, and if 1,500 of us could just screw them in, they would be screwed in, but we are not capable of screwing them in, so more than 1,500. Unless, of course, we were all given light bulbs. In the event that we were given light bulbs, I think we would have the opportunity to screw them in, because none of us would want to carry them around, so we would screw them in. Besides that, I'd really have to say that, I don't know.
Volunteer? Okay.
By the way, are you using the eyes? Did you see any?
I didn't see any eyes, no. Well, I saw Cindy's eyes because I looked at them, but that was it.
Why don't you check out who's got the eyes?
you're a married man.
And then you
I know, and she knows I'm
By the way, do we still have to say my name is blah?
Yes.
So, jobs in consulting and investment banking frequently consume more than 70 hours a week. Is this healthy for young people?
Hello, my name is Cecilia Rudiman, and I've been asked if 70 hours a week jobs are healthy for people. Well, I think healthy. No, they are definitely not healthy, but when you begin a job and you're new, you really need to put in a lot of hours to get some experience, and sometimes more than 70 hours. I think that in a sense they are healthy, but if it's for 6 months or something like that, but not a full-time job of 70 hours a week.
Volunteer. Okay, Grange, TJ. Grange, you can go next.
Okay. Can we expect the U.S. economy to turn around by summer?
Hello, my name is T.G. Diamandis, and my question is, can we expect the U.S. economy to turn around by next summer? I was afraid I was going to get a political question, as actually not looking forward to it one bit, but I will attempt to answer that by saying, from what I heard from George Bush last week in his State of the Union address and his concerns with the economy, I'd say it would be quite surprising if the U.S. economy recovered by next summer. Quite frankly, I don't think he laid down any concrete plans that would alleviate the present economy, and from what we're talking about actually today in macroeconomics and being in the business setting today, I think we're probably another 2, possibly 3 years away from any kind of significant recovery.
Explain to me the eye cards one more time. We're holding them up when they
hold
do
them up when they make the right amount of eye contact, so people understand the amount that's right.
What's this mean?
Making eye contact around the room, and pass the eyes around a little bit so people know, because the chances if you look at someone and you don't know when to quit, when's long enough, this way people will signal, yes, I feel that I've had enough eye contact.
Okay. What foreign city would you most like to visit and why?
Hello, my name is Grange Johnson. I've been asked what foreign city I'd like to visit and why. That's quite simple. I spent the summer in Spain and Madrid, and I'd like to go back and revisit it because I had an amazing time there, and I thought it was a terrific European city blending quote-unquote old world and new, third world and first. I enjoyed the old part of the city where I lived, which was the student quarter, where I took classes and learned Spanish for the summer. I enjoyed the bars and the pubs and the fellow students, Americans, Germans, Swedes, Englishmen, being a range of cultures. I'd like to go back to that. I enjoyed that very much. I also enjoyed the new parts of the city, the industry, that's the banking center of Spain, and a good number of Spanish and international companies choose to locate in Madrid. So there's a business aspect to it. And of course there's the culture aspect. There's the Prado and Toledo's nearby, the home of El Greco. So there's plenty of culture. So that's the city I'd like to go back and visit and live for a little while. Thank you.
Next volunteer. Okay. Jared.
Okay. As the grand prize winner of the lottery, you are to receive $10 million. How would you spend the money?
Hello, my name is Jerry Gronowski, and I've been asked how would I spend $10 million that I just won in the New York State Lottery. Well, borrowing something that Al Franken did on Saturday Night Live, in 1980s was the Al Franken decade. The 1990s, I believe, is the Jerry Gronowski decade. Therefore, the $10 million will go to me, less the 35%, which will go to taxes, state, federal, et cetera, local. With the $6.5 million that I will hopefully get in a lump sum, I guess, or is it an annuity? Lump sum, $6.5 million. The first thing I do is I probably leave this school. I have 5 years to complete this degree, and I really don't think there's a necessity to finish it now. $6.5 million, I think I could go, I guess, to a city that I want to see. I'd go to Amsterdam. Why not? I have a lot of friends there. Last summer I went there. I had a good time. Some of you might know why, some of you might guess. It's kind of an antithesis to what I'm doing right now. And other than that, if I still have money left over after that, I'd like to get involved with a charitable cause. And hopefully if I'm still alive after that, and if my time is up, then I'll probably go back to school and get my life over with.
What an entrance.
Why do child television stars go bad?
My name's John Benchy, and I've been asked why do child television stars go bad. And I think they go bad because they get older. And as they get older and they have their money, they lose the allure of being on TV. Now you can look at like some examples that have gone good, like Opie. Remember cute little Opie, named B? Well, Ron Howard has grown up. He got better and better roles now. He's a director. But you can look at people like, Buffy from is it Family Affair? I think she ended up committing suicide or drugs. It's kind of an ugly scene. But the reason they go bad is they got all this money early on, and they lose the fame, and they turn to drugs and prostitution and alcohol, and so the deadly mixture of these three things just drives them into the gutter. They can't pull themselves up by the bootstraps anymore, and they just go bad. That's why child stars go bad.
Mark, what do you think?
Okay.
Sorry, I volunteered.
That's okay.
So
I like this new
Blood of
system.
hands.
You go.
That's what it should do.
You should just
That's it. Point
Okay.
The floor of the business library shakes violently at times. Is there symbolism in this one?
My name is Mark Fawcett, and the question is, why does the floor shake? Or what is the symbolism in the floor shaking? Well, first, I'd like to describe why the floor shakes, and I think the reason has something to do with the people who run on the track underneath. There's a certain quality to these people who make the floor shake, and I think the quality of these floor shakers has to do with their large mass. And they run around the track, and when they get to the portion which is suspended by these columns, and it shakes the floor of the building above, and we're studying calmly, trying very hard to do the best we can. Our books start shaking and slide across the table. But as to the symbolism of this, maybe it's simply that they're preparing us for our fat cat lives after we leave the MBA program. I'm not really sure, but I think the reason why the floor shakes is due to the tremendous weight circulating underneath the track and beneath us. Thank you.
American universities graduate more than 70,000 MBAs a year. Is there an MBA glut?
Hi, my name is Michael Schaus, and I've been asked, is there an MBA glut? And read an article today in our paper that tried to argue otherwise, and I think there's a lot of motivation for us to argue otherwise. But I think there is an MBA glut, and as a result of the 1980s. But just like anything else, there's a glut of lawyers out there, but there's plenty of lawyers still coming out of school. And I think the key is to find a niche. And for any MBA coming out, maybe offers a sliver of hope of finding a job, that if you can differentiate yourself. It used to be you come out of the MBA program and instantly get offered a job, but obviously that's not true. We've been finding that out. So I think the important thing is differentiate yourself. So if you can differentiate yourself, find a niche, whatever that may be, then you'd be a little better off. Thanks.
How's the critiquing working? Left, right?
Everybody has a critique for you.
Good
hand gesture.
It is said that the law school building at Columbia looks like a giant toaster. What does yours hall remind you of?
My name is Matthew McCaffrey, and I've been asked what I think that the Uris Hall building looks like. I think it's more like a refrigerator. It's a little bit bigger than a toaster, and I think if you look at the law school, you think people in the law school are kind of frying in there. They're really under cutthroat competition, and they're wondering what their lives are going to be like when they get out. I think a refrigerator is a more apt description of the Uris building, because I think we're a little bit cooler here. I think we're a little bit more relaxed. I think you can look at, we have happy hour on Thursday, other schools have it on Friday, and I think that the refrigerator is a much more apt description of the Uris Hall. Thank you very much.
He's got your top. Russell.
How would you tell a finance major from a human resources?
My name is Jason Rosenkrantz. I've been asked today, how can you tell a finance major from a human resources major? Well, first and foremost, it's the, excuse me for saying this, level of geekiness, okay? On the one hand, you have the finance major. Finance major carries around an HP, has glasses on, usually has a few textbooks with them. Very serious student. On the other hand, you have the human resources people, laid back, slouching in their chairs, not really knowing what they're going to do when they're going to get out, but you know, they can't stand finance, and so they're here. They're going to study, they're going to get that MBA, and then they realize there's a glut of MBAs. The finance people, on the other hand, have figured out that there is a glut of MBAs. And while they're trying to differentiate themselves, well, they can't because they're finance people. There are the human resources people, on the other hand, who are just going through. In the end, what should you do? Marketing. Marketing, marketing. Thank you.
What is your favorite free attraction in New York City and why?
Hi, my name is Aunt Hallie, and I want to tell you what my favorite free attraction is in New York City. I'd have to say my favorite free attraction is the West End. And it might not be free for everyone. I've managed to make it a free attraction for myself a few times, especially after happy hour. You know, you go over there, you've already had a few drinks, and so have a lot of other people, and their pockets get a little looser, and it becomes a free attraction. And it's a lot of fun. Your friends are over there, and you get a lot of value for your time. And that's my favorite free attraction.
Should New York City taxi drivers have to work with the dress code?
Hi, my name is Jonathan Haff, and I was asked, should New York City taxi drivers have to have a dress code? Well, I think, personally, it would be nice if we had all the taxi drivers in New York City wearing a yellow jacket and blue trousers, or something in that sort. But I think since this city has so many taxi drivers and has so many different people from different countries, that it would be impossible to implement such an idea. But I think that if there was any way to implement such an idea, it would have been very nice to have taxi drivers all dressed the same in the yellow taxis. Definitely me or not.
Yes, I'm laughing at you.
Answer. Pushing, pulling timers. Thank you.
I was intended to be funny. Who's going? Okay.
Colombia's football team holds one of the longest losing streaks in collegiate football. The team finally defeated Princeton to break the streak. Why Princeton and not Harvard or Yale, for example?
Hi, my name's Jeff Berkowitz, and I was asked an absurd question. I may be able to relate to that because I was supposed to play football. I was recruited to play football at either Princeton or Columbia, and I rejected both on, not necessarily on the basis of their programs. Columbia wasn't even a question. I mean, they surpassed Northwestern Street for most losses. Why Princeton? Must be the Garretts were not there anymore. They moved on to the World Football League. You know, they were the driving force behind the team. The three brothers left, and they were no longer good. They were a drawing card there. I don't know why Princeton. It must be the mascot. You know, association with the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know. Thanks.
The Garretts were there, and the thing that made it very, Princeton is Columbia's arch rival on an undergraduate level. That's who the team, like if you can beat them in any sport, any team in any sport, any Ivy League team, you want to beat Princeton. That's who we've established our rivalry with. And the fact that we had lost. The fact that we had lost.
Mr. Columbia,
it's not like that. Oh, well, you know. No. And the fact that we we had beaten Princeton made it that much better. You lost 43 games in a row and you beat Princeton makes it that much better. And the Garretts did play, and we beat them after their coach had to go and coach Princeton.
I don't think he answered the question.
Okay, we need someone to time.
Wait, I'll go. I have it.
It's been said that MBAs are too concerned with money and really don't know how to manage people. Is this true?
My name's John Britton. I've been asked if MBAs are too concerned with money and whether they don't know how to manage people. I guess it sort of depends on the concentration or the MBA in particular. I think that it's quite possible that MBAs are more interested in money than they are in managing people. It seems to be the record for most MBA candidates to go into finance where they don't end up actually managing as many people as they might in a job that requires more hands-on management. But I don't think it's necessarily part of an MBA that you're going to become more interested in making money than you are in managing other people. So I guess there's a give and take. It depends on, again, your concentration, your interest, the type of personality you are. It may have, you may be more interested in making money because you want to make money and you're not very interested in managing people, and that's just why you went to business school. So I think it can come and it can change depending on the candidate or depending on the person who has the MBA. And I guess finally it depends on the person's interest. Thank you.
If anyone else want to go, I'll go.
No.
Go ahead. Yeah, anything to prevent that. Anything's better.
If you could suddenly be a world-class athlete, which Winter Olympics event would you most like to win gold medal in?
My name is Gavel, and I've been asked if I could be a world-class athlete, which Winter Olympics event would I earn my gold medal in? And I think it would be slalom skiing because it's the sport that I, enjoy the most. And it's a very difficult sport, and it requires good skills, good skiing skills, as well as good planning skills in going through the slalom gates. And I think there's a lot of glory in the sport, and it's definitely one of my favorite things to do is to go skiing. So if I could go to the Winter Olympics and do any event, I would definitely want to be in the slalom event. Thank you.
What's your name again? Doug. Does anybody want to go? Go ahead, Will. Okay.
Now let's find out who hasn't gone.
Yeah, who hasn't gone?
Who hasn't
I'll go.
They know who they are.
Wendy.
So let's have one of them go.
Dan. Next.
Okay. The 1980s might be called a decade of the yuppie. What will historians write about the 1990s?
Hi, my name is Wendy Fishbein, and I've been asked to speak about what historians will call the decade of the 1990s compared to the decade of the 1980 yuppies decade. I believe the 1990s is going to be a time of social concerns. I believe that in the 1980s, people obviously were out there to make money. That was the reputation all MBAs had when they were going to school, when they were coming out of school. It was, I want a job, I want to make money, I want to become CEO. Right now, I think because of the environmental effects of the whole world, people are concerned with what they can do with their knowledge and how they can take this knowledge and benefit the society as a whole. I think it's good for us because rather than having the pressure on us that we have to go out and make money, I think that there's a lot of things that we can be doing out there that's worthwhile and that we can enjoy as a whole society. Thank you.
Jason, close the door.
Yeah,
Give Wesley a cover.
The ones I read, the ones I read.
Have M&Ms always melted in your mouth and not in your hand?
Hi, my name is Wesley Fry, and I've been asked, have M&Ms always melted in my mouth and not in my hand? Well, the first most obvious thing is my hands are sweating right now because I'm being up here. So if I had some M&Ms in my hand right now, they would obviously be melted and pouring down between my fingers. Normally that's not the case. No, I would say most of the time they do melt in my mouth, and they do live up to their marketing and advertising claims. And I think that brings up an interesting point regarding advertising in general is, should, I'll change the subject really quickly, should advertisers be responsible for the claims they make regarding their product? And I would say yes, there are certain responsibilities that advertisers should take regarding their product. I would say if, for example, M&Ms did melt more in your hand than in the mouth, and you were saying the opposite, there would be a case for a lawsuit there. For example, someone was eating M&Ms while they were driving, and it was melting in their hand. They slipped off the steering wheel. They crashed into a bus. Who knows what could happen? And I just think there should be a little responsibility with advertising. Thank you.
What television show represents the lowest common denominator and threatens American society?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Middleton, and I've been asked the question, which American show can potentially do the most damage to the American public? There's no doubt in my mind that even though I love the show, The Simpsons. The question is, why is The Simpsons? Bart Simpson. I have a problem with a lot of his personality traits. Number one, he is extremely obnoxious. He does not do what his parents tell him to do. He will continually reject society. And I think this is a dangerous role model for children nowadays. The family is a very important unit. We've known that ever since Greco-Roman times. And if the family doesn't eat dinner together, if the parents do not instill some values in the children, then I think that we definitely have a problem. Number two, his attitude towards school. Would any of us now be here if we were Bart Simpsons in the 4th grade or the 5th grade? I don't think so. Many of us wouldn't be. I'm sorry, I wasn't a Bart Simpson. I guess I make the fatal mistake of actually studying, well, no, not really in 4th grade. But he has a dangerous attitude towards school. We hear about many different cultures, especially the Japanese, who are beating us in technology and other areas because of their education. Our average workers have a high school diploma. Our average workers have an understanding of algebra, where the average Japanese have an understanding of trigonometry, etc. That is a problem. We need a better educational system. Just to wrap it up, in general, the Simpsons are dangerous. Bart Simpson does not represent a good role model for children, and I think that if it were my children and many of our children, I would not let them watch the show. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're getting Glenn Gruber.
Volunteering his friends.
What other careers besides business do you consider?
Legal ones.
My name's Dan Schneider, and I'm going to tell you what other careers I've considered besides going into business. Well, most prominently, I was considering being the second baseman for the New York Yankees. I felt I would have a really good career here, and as you can see, being an MBA, the beginning salary coming out is probably around maybe $80,000 at the very high end. Today, if I was the second baseman of the New York Yankees, I'd probably be making $3 million. That's not a bad salary. Any other careers I could have, you gotta admit that. Any other careers I might have done? Well, I was in computers. It's not the greatest career in the world, but it isn't bad. But as you can see, I decided to come here and I'll try the MBA route. Thank you.
Clarification, that's all. Nice house. Mud in your eye.
Like it. What is your favorite food and why?
Good afternoon. My question is the following. I'm Scott Schroeder, by the way, and my question is, what is my favorite food group and why? Geez, it being Thursday and a few hours to go, I'd say my favorite food group is beer. I mean, I don't know if beer really qualifies as a food group, but I find that beer really offers something that most other foods don't, and that is, it allows you just for a few brief moments to forget your troubles, forget about the fact that you're probably going to be bartending this summer, forget about the fact that you're going to be $70,000 in debt by the time you graduate. Forget about the fact that you're living in New York City and it can be a very depressing place at times. And it's free, at least at the business school on Thursday. So I would definitely say that beer is my favorite food group.
Okay, Mark is next, by the way.
Mark, where's Mark?
He's right there. He's after you.
Oh, not before me, okay.
Where are the safest seats in an airplane and why?
I read, my name is Yolanda Navarro. That's how you spell my name. I read somewhere about this, where the seats are, and I can't remember, but I'm going to take a guess that it's before the wings. I think that's what it said. If you sit before the wings, if there's a crash and part of the plane decapitates from the head of the plane, you're before the wings. You know, if the wings are going to hit something, you're more likely to go with the cockpit, even if it makes very heavy crunching. But I think that the chances of surviving are better if you're at the front, somewhere ahead of the wings. I think that's what I remember. And besides that, maybe in the back. I would think somewhere in the back, it has to be not that bad, you know. They're not going to crunch against anything, and they're far away from the wings. So, you know, unless there's a rear end, as somebody mentioned. But
Smokers always survive.
smokers, maybe they cause the problems. I would think that the front and the back, somewhere away from the wings, and definitely, if you're going to do some kind of, you know, water landing or something, somewhere near the exits. You know, because people go crazy. Well, I don't know if my time is over because nobody's giving me a 15-second one.
Mark's next. Mark's next. Will.
How poorly will you?
I'm sorry. Are you familiar with Dr. Seuss?
Oh, wait a minute.
I think a little.
Hey, wait a minute.
You can't abort your duties without taking
Different question. Which of the current presidential candidates has the best dinner time conversation?
Easy question. Well, I'm Mark Cesari. I'm a new member here. It took me a while to get up. Now I'm here, and my question is, what presidential candidate would make the best dinner time conversation? I think I'd have to choose Jerry Brown. He seems to have had very wide-ranging experiences, from I think sitting on the mountains of Tibet, some monks, think maybe a little Buddhism mixed in. He's also been, of course, he's been a politician, but not really a politician. He's done different things. He's tried to be a non-politician while still holding public office, trying not to become a member of the establishment. Although, of course, he's had a long history in his family of politics, so he has tried to say he's not a politician while being really a member of the establishment. And I think also he's had some interesting meetings with various members of Hollywood, I believe. And I think that's about it.
Who hasn't gone? Jen?
Glenn Gruber has
I'll go next. Come on down. I was supposed to be done.
Remember, you can't leave without getting up in front. Yeah, everyone has to present.
Right. Where's our enforcement? What?
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop?
Hi, my name's Debbie Getz, and I've been asked how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? It's been a long, long while since I've had a Tootsie Roll Pop, but from what I remember, it took days, just days. I think the advertisement went off very well. It was something that they used to get all the kids with a Tootsie Pop in their hand, going to the grocery stores, nagging on their parents to get these pops. And I think it worked, and I think that it has lasted. It has certainly lasted. They're still licking the pops. They're still going to the stores. I have yet to count the licks that it's taken me to get to the middle of a pop. If anyone has, maybe they can share with us. I have 3. I don't know that there's a set answer for this, but I do know that it takes quite a few.
New York City proposes building an above-ground trolley along 42nd Street. Is this a good idea, and should it have bulletproof windows?
Hi, my name is Vic Martinez, and I've been asked a question whether building an above-ground trolley in New York City is a good idea, and whether it should have bulletproof windows. Thank you. I think it is a good idea. It should relieve a lot of the traffic congestion the city is now experiencing. It should also reduce the level of pollution that's hovering around on top of New York City, although it's not as bad as LA. Whether they should put bulletproof windows, I don't think so. I think that having an open trolley is probably more exciting. It's probably more adventurous for people, and New Yorkers are very adventurous people. And one advantage it would have over the subway is that it's going to be less confining. And by not putting any confining things such as a bulletproof window would be another attraction. For people who've been in subway, when there's about 200 people in one car, it feels like a sardine can inside an open. And I think it's better if you have it open, although it's going to be a problem during the winter time when it's about -20. Besides that, I think it's a pretty good idea.
Okay, the New York Times reports that 60% of American households did not buy a single book in 1999. How do you interpret this information?
Let's see. Warren. Huh? Warren? My name
name's Glenn Gruber. I've been asked that question, what do you make of the fact that only about 60% of Americans, households, did not buy books this year? Well, then again, there's the semantics of what's a book, because I'm sure comic books, if you include those, it'd be way, way higher. But I think it says a lot about the different media and the way that people get information these days. For one, I think you'll find that we're very much a TV generation, a TV country. Television is very important. I think the first thing that most people do as soon as they walk into their apartment, turn the TV on, sit down, and then just kind of mellow for a little bit and see what they're going to do. So I think that's one of the major reasons that people haven't bought books. I think you could also see similarly there's been a decline in radio, where how people spend their leisure time. Also, probably the other point is the fact that why read the book, which will take days, and instead of you just rent the movie, which there's been a lot about that. You also get those books on tapes, so I don't know if that really goes into that category of whether or not you bought a book or not. But I think the different types of media that are available to get the same thing accomplished has been the reason why you'll find that purchases of books are down. Thank you very much.
Is upper management overpaid in America?
Hello, my name is Tom Van Leuven, and I've been asked to express my opinion on whether or not I feel upper management is overpaid in America. Since I aspire to a position in upper management, it's hard for me to downgrade their compensation, because eventually I do hope to be sucking in those several $million paychecks. However, this is a very hot topic right now, and there have been charts and figures in the USA Today and the New York Times that show just exactly how much more money American executives receive than their Japanese or European counterparts. And it is astonishing. It seems like within orders of magnitude or beyond an order of magnitude is how much more American executives are paid. And I think that the main problem with the high pay for the American executives is the fact that what does this show to the employees? It seems to indicate to them that here's my boss making tons of money and our company's making cutbacks. It's not fair. And so in all, I'd say the best thing to do now is decrease their pay for a motivational tool. Thank you.
I'm a finance major, a marketing major, and a human resources major are stranded on a desert island. Who has the most fun?
Good afternoon, I'm Anne Alexander. I've been asked what's the most fun on a desert island, a marketing major, finance major, and human resource major. There's two ways to interpret the question. What is more fun, finance, marketing, or human resource? I would say, I don't know. Or the other way to interpret the question, maybe people, who is the funnier people, marketing. What I think is it doesn't depend on the subject, it just depends on the people. So on a desert island, I don't think that finance help, I don't think that marketing help, and I don't think that human resource management help a lot. Don't know, maybe a fisherman would be.
Do you think that holding the Olympics tends to help
My name's Frank Conley, and I'm also a new person here at the Gavel Club. Let's talk about Albertville. It's a good example of this. Right now, the whole world is going to be going there this Saturday for the Olympics. I've heard that traffic is clogged, it's snowing, the roads are narrow, they're worried about avalanches and cars going off the roads. It's really hurt the economy for the short term. But I think in the long term, 10 years from now, people will talk about Albertville and the skiing and Valdez there and Tignes and La Plagne, and everyone will know, wow, this is a really great part of the world. So the short term, the harm is short term, but the benefits are very long term. And I think it always helps the economy of every city in the long term.
Tough. The hardest one yet.
That wouldn't be saving all.
English.
You are carrying a bag of marbles in a crowded New York City subway car when the bag suddenly bursts, sending 50 marbles to the floor. Describe how your fellow passengers would react when you attempt to retrieve each and every one.
Hello, my name is Will Gold, and I've been asked to describe the reaction to a marble accident that has befallen me on the New York City subway system. I'm not quite sure why I would be carrying the marbles, but let's presume that I was carrying the marbles, and it was in a bag of weak form, and it did break. I think the reaction to me would be another peculiar New Yorker trying to hold on to his marbles. Ha ha. And what is his fascination with marbles? And much like anybody else, you see people with bags of various kind of garbage and stuff that they kind of hold a value to themselves, and they try to hold on to that too. I don't think it would be viewed too strangely because people in New York do weird things like that. People might be carrying marbles around, and if they're carrying marbles around, the bag they're carrying around might be weak and could break. So I think that the reaction would be initial surprise, then perhaps as I ask them to move their feet and get out of the way as I reach for individual marbles, they might get a little upset. But I think it would be a reaction of just status quo. This is what happens. Thank you.
What are 2 or more adjectives to describe your Colombia experience to date, and why would you choose them?
Great question. This is just a minute and a half, yeah? Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Keith Ward. The question that I've been asked is to give 2 adjectives to describe my Columbia Business School experience on the basis of my being a 4th-termer, being a statesman-like figure, really. So 2 words. The first word that springs to mind, quite obviously, is frustrating. That's a very good way of describing a business school experience, in the sense that your aims and objectives from the experience will always be way in excess of what you will actually achieve. This is because you mustn't come in here seriously believing that you will get value for money from $65,000. $65 perhaps, which is the money that you spend on happy hour every term, but not $65,000. So frustrating intellectually, morally, sexually, obviously. We've only got a minute and a half. So.
Okay.
The other adjective which clearly springs to mind just sitting in this room and sitting in the classrooms earlier this morning is hot. Business school is exceptionally hot, and that's not hot in the sense that the people who come out of it are hot characters. It's hot, and that's annoying. So you do come out of it with a tremendous ability to withstand extreme temperatures. And if you ever work in an office which is not air conditioned, or which
where the boss has got some kind of malignant streak, then you're well away, basically. It's an excellent preparation.
Textbooks at the business school frequently cost more than $50. Besides their educational value, what else could you do with a textbook?
My name is George Young, and I've been asked what I can do with the textbook besides studying, realizing that they cost at least $50. Well, I've developed a lot of uses for them so far in my time. I've been a student a couple weeks, I guess. I've learned to use them as pillows. I've learned to use them as bookmarks in other books. I've also developed, well, basically, I've kind of been developing ways of arranging books in creative manners. I've always felt that I had a sculptural streak, and although I haven't really been spending as much time as I should reading the textbooks, I've been relatively creative in purchasing them, carrying them around, and creating Calder-like arrangements of them in my room. Of course, that might be kind of hard to imagine. Why would anyone want to be hanging their books from their ceiling in their room? But sometime perhaps you can come and see them. Or maybe, I believe there is an art program here. Maybe we can develop some interesting ways of arranging books. That's it.
What is your favorite junk food, and how does this choice relate to your own personality?
Hi, my name is Will Carlin, and I've been asked what my favorite junk food is. I'd have to say devil dogs. I always loved devil dogs when I was very little because you could take them apart and eat that creamy filling inside. Now, I've never been sure what that means. People do it with Oreos, people do it with ring dings, always eating that creamy filling first. But I always ate that first, and then I didn't know what to do with the two ends. You know, what did you do with it? So I would smush them. Devil dogs, try this sometime. Devil dogs, you smush them, you can make them into a nice ball, and then you can pelt people with it. They don't bounce. I've tried that. They don't bounce, so you can't really pick off them, but they're good things to use as weapons. So the cream of devil dogs is probably my favorite junk food, and the other things make good weapons.
You picked up a young lady in a bar, you've taken her back to your place. The next morning you find out that it is Dean Feldberg's wife. She calls you for a second date, what do you say?
Hello, my name is Russell Stoll, and apparently I've been on one date with Dean Feldberg's wife, and she calls me for a second one. I would certainly accept this date, as I think that she would certainly be a fairly interesting woman to talk to and do other things with. I think that it also, might give me a direct line of communication to what's actually happening in Colombia besides what we, are spoon-fed of all of these, presentations. Beyond that, I imagine she's a much older woman than myself, so I think that would certainly be an interesting experience. What else can I say? I mean, I really would have to meet this, lady to actually tell you what I do. Thank you.
We got three on this.
Who hasn't gone?
Bill,
Bill.
yeah, I see,
like
Bill.
Oh, okay, wait, Bill, that's ahead of you.
You familiar with Dr. Seuss?
Sure.
How would you eat green eggs and ham? And why?
Hi, my name is Paul McCormick, and I've been asked, how would I eat green eggs and ham, and why? Same I am. Seeing as how I have never seen green eggs, or how you could possibly make them. I hear mixing it with jelly will tend to turn them green sometimes. I would probably eat them with jelly, just to make sure that you can make green eggs and ham. Once I've done that, I don't care where I eat them. On a boat, whatever Dr. Seuss said, I would eat them where he would eat them. As for why not? Who has had green eggs and ham? Okay, this gentleman's had green eggs and ham. How were they? Sam, I am. I would eat them anywhere and for any reason.
Just so we can get the last minute people in, let's just go for a minute instead of a minute and a half.
Okay. What kind of animal would Dan Quayle be and why?
Mouse.
As do cotton animals.
My name is Bill O'Leary, and I've been asked to comment on the likeness of our vice president to a woodland creature sometimes. I would most liken him to a squirrel. The most important reason not being his actual physical likeness to the squirrel, which, if you think about it for a minute, is considerable. He looks like a squirrel. He's a sort of smallish guy who has the same shaped face, but probably his behavior reminds me a bit of a squirrel. He gets up there on the stage, the most important moment of his life, and he's just flitting about, and he's very nervous and not in a environment. If you've ever seen a squirrel on a stage, he's not very relaxed. Kind of like me. But he's looking around, he's very not at ease, he doesn't seem to be in the right environment. And in a squirrel's natural habitat, he's fine, he's relaxed, he goes about his business, foraging for food. And he's fine there. Dan Quayle, in his natural environment, in a fraternity house, say, or on a golf course, you'll notice that he's fine, he handles himself quite well. But placed into the environment of world politics, I think he behaves as a squirrel would behave in that situation. Thank you.
Okay. What was your least favorite high school subject and why?
Hello, my name is Gary DeSilvestri. I've been asked what was my least favorite high school subject and why. I wish I could remember one. That would certainly be helpful.
College.
Business school. Business school. Let's use that one, for example. I think I despise accounting. I've just taken the basic intro course. However, it was absolutely abominable. The professor, I think, played somewhat of a role in that situation. I won't mention his name, but some of you have had the class with me, I think, and you are very familiar with his teaching techniques. He's no longer with us or no longer teaching. He is here. That gives it away, basically. The reason I disliked it was primarily because it was taught in a manner that basically could have been learned had you just gone home and sat down with a textbook and taught it to yourself. This semester, I've not encountered that. Professors are much better. So for those of you who are beginning now, do not fret. Things get better. And hopefully you're not accounting majors, because then it only gets worse. Thank you.
How can the American automobile industry regain its competitive footing?
My name is Mark Metcalf, and I've been asked how can the American automobile industry regain its footing. First of all, I'd like to thank you for staying late and giving me a chance. Appreciate it. That's a good question. I would say we've got to do something far more stringent about the Japanese threat. The Japanese put a lot of rhetoric about our workers not being hard workers, about being illiterate, about our management being bad. I don't think that's really true at all. I think our basic problem is government right now. I think government isn't creating enough incentives to regain our competitive edge in a lot of industries. I think we need to establish and target certain industries in which we are going to become world leaders once again. And I don't think we're doing that. I don't think there are enough, I would say regulations, but there are not enough incentives to business leaders, especially in the automobile industry, to compete with the Japanese. I think the Japanese are given full license in this country, and I think we're giving absolutely no license in their country to compete. So that's basically it.
How should Columbia University respond to shrinking financial resources?
My name is Kara McLaughlin, and I don't always wear red. And Columbia should respond to shrinking financial resources in various manners. Number one, they should solicit their alumni. That's the number one greatest source for Columbia. Just take a look at Harvard. They have an endowment that'll take them through the 21st century. I went to Duke University. It helps to have a good basketball team. Their endowment skyrocketed after winning the NCAA tournament. They should definitely capitalize on their different schools, get the business school alumni involved, get the journalism school alumni involved. Of course, they don't make that much money there. However, hopefully the business school students do. Then make sure they don't cheat on their government contracts that they get. Bad example was at Stanford. Those people are paying money. They're in deep trouble from now on, and their alumni don't like the situation any better. Third, raise tuition after we leave. Thank you very much.
Everybody's in the back.
Choose between the three.
One.
Wow, we encourage
There you
everyone
go,
to come
all right.
Let's see.
Give me something easy.
Something easy. Which current leader do you admire the most?
Can I do the one I admire the least?
Sure.
Well, let's see. My name is Jennifer Lachance. We used to talk about who I admire the most for leadership, but I'm going to talk about who I admire the least. Let's see. I guess I'm kind of confused with politics in this country in general, because it seems to me that, I mean, right now we can see this, that a lot of people go up and say what they're supposed to say if they're at a certain group that's maybe minority, leaders, and they'll tell them that they're for minority rights. If it's people who they want to invest, like business leaders, they'll say that they're going to induce investment. And I think that it's pretty easy to see through a lot of their promises, and but a lot of them don't end up coming true. They say, we're not going to raise taxes, but when it comes down to it, they will. So let's see, I was supposed to talk about it. Right now, I don't admire Bush, because I think that what he's doing, again, is very easy to see through, that he's trying to stimulate economy at the very end of his term to get reelected, and I don't buy it. I'm not voting for him.
More volunteers?
Scott. The hallways in Doris Hall resemble Grand Central Station at times. How would you help to remedy this situation?
My name is Tanya Coten, and I've been asked to speak about the sardine feeling that we all get when we walk through the halls during rush hour. Well, I think I can actually speak quite well on the subject, because when I walk through hallways during rush hour, I see a lot of great t-shirts and a lot of great vests, and that's a really wonderful feeling for me. So, I don't know if I can evaluate the situation for everybody, since I do think that my personal experience would differ from most people's personal experience. I think that one way to remedy the situation would be
Hi.
to...
Sorry, we have a class here now. I do apologize to you.
That's all right.
People pay a lot of money.
Thanks, nice.
start.